After that, the coach asks Young to change his shooting style, but Young refuses and argues with him. The coach ends up kicking Young out of the team. When Lin finds out, she goes to talk to him and tells him that he promised her not to give up. Young tells her about his old coach, the one who made him love shooting. That's why he doesn't want to change his style, because it's who he is. Lin is captivated by their conversation and tries to lighten the mood by making him laugh to ease his tension. Then, Lin goes to talk to the coach to understand why Young doesn't want to change his style. She tells him that he is talented and asks him to believe in him. She shows him the shooting board that Young trained on after he was expelled. Then the coach goes to talk to Young. He decides to make him the team leader again. He tells him that he and Lin believe he will perform well in the competition. Young is moved by his words and decides not to disappoint them. He continues to train at night in the rain. On the day of the competition, Lin and her friends attend along with other students to support their team. Lin's brother also comes to support Young. He arrives at the team, determined from within himself. Everyone cheers for them. They reach the opposing team, showing their professionalism and thinking the match will be easy. The first round of the competition begins, with all team members shooting arrows at the same time to see who scores the most. Both teams score well and compete against each other. Then they take a break, and some team members feel like they will lose. But Lin intervenes and motivates them. Young speaks to them as the leader, encouraging and boosting their confidence. They regain their belief in themselves. The second round begins, and Young competes with the other team's captain, who is a professional and has never been defeated in a challenge. Everyone is amazed by his skill. However, Young remains focused and realizes he can keep up with him. Lin continues to cheer him on, telling him he can win and that their abilities are evenly matched. With the scores tied, the match continues for a long time, keeping everyone on edge, unable to predict the winner. As time runs out, the score remains tied, forcing them to play one final round. The one who scores the goal will win. Young puts on his headphones and listens to music, which distracts everyone. Young looks at Lin, focusing all his attention, and shoots the arrow, successfully hitting the center of the target. The referee announces that their team has won the competition. Lin rejoices, and the coach celebrates with the team, lifting Young up in disbelief. They celebrate their victory with a meal, and the coach urges them to remain focused and motivated. Lin is at the restaurant, eating with her friends and with John. Young sees them and feels jealous. At night, Young talks to Lin, apologizing for his behavior during their school days and revealing that his mother left home because of him. Lin tells him she forgave him long ago. Young tries to confess his feelings for her but hesitates. Lin mentions wanting to ride her new bike, and Young gives her the keys. Lin happily rides the bike, and Young watches her, clearly showing his affection. Suddenly, Lin falls from the bike, and Young rushes to check on her, visibly concerned. He walks her back to the dorm. When he returns, he talks to his friend, admitting his fear of rejection from Lin. His friend advises him to confess his feelings soon, or else John might win her over. The next day, John goes to the place with the cats and finds Lin asleep, calling out to her. When she wakes up, John wants to say something, but Lin's reaction is not shown. When she opens her eyes, she's surprised to see him in front of her and admires his handsomeness. Young asks her out on a date for the next day, and Lin is surprised but agrees. She goes to the restaurant and finds Young there. She asks him about the type of girls boys like, and Young teases her, saying any type except her. Lin gets upset and takes his food plate away. Young laughs, thinking she asked because she likes him. The next day, Lin comes out of the dorm and finds John waiting for her. He compliments her hair, which is long now, making Lin happy. They go to the library together, and Lin sits close to him while he draws, showing her interest in him. When they leave, a gust of wind blows her wig off, revealing that she was wearing one. John is shocked, but compliments her, saying she looks beautiful regardless of her hair length. They go to eat together, and when Lin tries to cut her meat, she accidentally drops it on herself, feeling embarrassed again. Afterward, John takes her to a dog shop, and Lin happily cuddles the dogs. They then go for a walk together, and John tries to hold her hand, but Young interrupts them, noticing that she had asked him out. He feels jealous, makes a snide remark about her appearance, leaves them, and walks away. Lin is surprised by his behavior and thanks John for the outing before saying goodbye and walking away. Young returns to the dorm feeling upset, reminiscing about his memories with Lynn in high school, how they were close, often argued, and made up on the same day. He sends her a message, inviting her for dinner the next day, and she happily accepts. The next day, they meet up, have dinner together, and talk about their memories from high school. Young gives Lynn the card he took from her when they were young, and she is happy to see it, surprised by his kindness and thinking he wants something from her. He tells her to consider it a birthday gift. Later, Lynn goes to meet her mom and asks her to have dinner with her on her birthday. Her mom agrees and asks if she has a crush on anyone at the university, making Lynn embarrassed and unwilling to answer. She tells her she wishes to reconcile with her parents and become a family again. When Lynn returns to the dorm, she creates an email account to talk to her dad about reconciliation, but he responds coldly, leaving her disappointed. The next day, her dorm mate wakes her up and they hop on the university bus for a trip to the farm. Lynn sits next to John, who is supervising the trip. When they arrive, they happily take pictures with the animals. Lynn accidentally drops her phone without realizing it. Later, John explains how to interact with the animals. Lynn gets close to a goat, grabs its horns, and rides on its back, posing happily for a picture. As they get ready to leave, Lynn realizes her phone is missing and goes to look for it. She successfully finds it but returns to see the bus leaving without her, leaving her scared and unsure what to do. John notices her distress and assures her he'll go with her. They hitch a ride with a farmer to get back to the city. Lynn is relieved to be out in the nice weather with a beautiful sky, but suddenly the driver hits a small lamb. Lynn and John get out to check on it, and they take it to the farm for treatment. After administering first aid, they arrange for it to be taken to the clinic the next day. They continue their journey, and Lynn worries about being late for dinner. When they reach the city, Lynn goes to the hospital to look for her mom, but can't find her. She learns from a doctor that her mom doesn't stay in the hospital overnight. She goes home every day. Lynn is surprised by this information. Later, her mom comes out of the operating room and Lynn learns what happened from her roommate. She tries to call her daughter, but there's no answer. She calls her dad and tells him Lynn might have discovered the truth. He informs her that Lynn doesn't have an email. Lynn's dad realizes it was Lynn pretending to be her mom in their email exchanges. Lynn is upset, and John tries to cheer her up. She is surprised to receive an email from her mom and eagerly reads it. She calls her mom, who explains that she moved to a different ward in the hospital and forgot to inform her. Lynn is overjoyed and realizes there was a misunderstanding. She returns to John happily. He tells her he has a surprise for her. He got her a job at the pet store where he works. Meanwhile, Young overhears two girls talking about Lynn and John, how they rescued a lamb at the farm and seemed close. He gets annoyed and throws a cola bottle at them, which explodes on their clothes when they open it. When Lynn returns to her dorm, the supervisor tells her that a handsome guy left her a gift. Lynn is excited, thinking it's from John. The next day, she goes to the shooting club and tells Ling that she's leaving the team to work at the pet store. She lets Ling know that Jin will take her place. Young is surprised, showing signs of being upset. Lynn starts her first day at work, and the manager instructs her to clean the animal cages until she learns the job. Lynn reluctantly agrees. Later, the coach introduces Jin to the team as the new assistant. John's friend is happy to see her because he's interested in her. He helps her while she's picking up clothes and tells her that Young loves Lynn and asks her to help him get closer to her. We see Lynn at work and John comes to help her. In the evening, Lynn returns to the dorm tired. Her friend tells her that Young has been asking for her a lot at the club. The next day, she argues with him and tells him to leave her friend alone. They play a game of chess, and Lynn loses. She feels like she's late for work, so she rides her bike there. When she arrives, the manager tells her she's late and warns her that this is her last chance. She won't allow her to break the rules just because she's the friend of the owner's son. Lynn is surprised because she didn't know John's father owned the place. When she starts working, she guesses which cages need to be cleaned. But the manager scolds her, making her upset. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and check out our other selection of recaps. Take care.